This is Dr. Lakshmi Sureka, Department of Pharmaceutical Analysis. Today I am going to discuss about preventive medicine. It is Unit 2 in Social Preventive Pharmacy. Before entering into the chapter, how to know what is the preventive medicine? We all know the prevention is the better than cure in the medicine or anything else. So prevention is better than the cure. What is the preventive medicine? It is a science of study on the concentration between the external environment and the human health. It consists of the environmental and occupational hygiene, nutrition, food hygiene, community medicine, medical statistics, and epidemiology. For example, preventive medicine for the hypertension. So, small measurements we can take, we can easily prevent the hypertension. So, what are those? We take the salt, low salt diet, weight loss, daily exercise, avoiding the smoking, limiting alcohol, and controlling the stress. So, these measures can be taken. We easily prevent the hypertension. The main goal of the preventive medicine is absence of the disease by preventing the occurrence of the disease or by halting the disease. And there are the three levels of the prevention care: primary, secondary prevention care, and tertiary prevention care. So, what is the primary prevention care? In this primary prevention, measures or steps to be taken to prevent the disease occurrence. Suppose, what are those steps to taken to prevent the disease occurrence? Means immunization, taking healthy diet, a regular exercise can prevent the disease. And secondary prevention. Secondary prevention main aim is screening of the disease and detection of the disease as early as possible before appearance of the signs and symptoms. So this is called as the secondary prevention care. Tertiary prevention. The main aim of the tertiary prevention is to reduce the negative impact of an already established disease by reducing the disease-related complications. So examples in this is insulin therapy for the type 2 diabetes, chemotherapy, rehabilitation programs for the brain strokes. So all these are the three levels of the prevention care of the disease. So in this preventive medicine, first disease is the cholera. So what is cholera? What is the origin of the cholera? Or what is the history of the cholera? What is the positive agent of the cholera? So in India, the cases reported as early as in 1563. There are the 8 pandemics of the cholera. So first pandemic is 1870 to 23, 1829 to 50 is the second pandemic, 1850 to 60 is the third pandemic, 1863 to 79 fourth pandemic, 1881 to 96 fifth pandemic, 1899 to 1923 is the sixth pandemic, and 1961 is the seventh pandemic, and 1992 is the eighth pandemic. So all these are the pandemics of the cholera. It's coming to the what is the history of the cholera. So first pandemic spreads from the India to south, and second pandemic reaches to the England. So in all 8 pandemics, 1800s pandemic is the deadly pandemic, and finally all pandemics reaches to the Africa. So this is the distribution of the cholera throughout the world. So next coming to the positive agent discovery. So discovery of the positive agent cholera is based on the three theories, that is the miasma theory, blood generation theory, and the germ theory. Based on these theories, the positive agent can be discovered. And John Snow in 1813 to 1858, he discovers the cholera is the waterborne transmission disease. Then Filippo Passino, he discovers the cholera reaches to the Florence, Italy. Passini discovers the positive agent that is published as a microscopical observations and the pathological deduction on cholera. Finally, in 1965, he discovers the positive agent of cholera, that is the bacteria. That bacteria name is the Vibrio cholera cassinia in 1855, sorry, 54. Then in 1884, rediscovers the Vibrio cholera by Robert Koch. Next, morphology. It is a gram-negative, comma-shaped polar plasm, 1.4 to 2.6 μm into 0.5 to 3 μm. And physiology is a fluctuating aerobic and asparagines and growth stimulated by sodium chloride, and pH is 6 to 10, acid, liable, and temperature is 18 to 37. So this is the introduction of the cholera. Next, coming to the cholera is the infectious disease that causes the severe watery diarrhea, and it leads to the dehydration if it is not treated, and even death can also be occur. It causes by eating the food or drinking which are contaminated with that bacteria that is called as a Vibrio cholera. It is mainly found in the food or water contaminated by the feces from a person with the infection. What are the common sources of this Vibrio cholera? Municipal waters and ice made from the municipal water, food and drinks sold by the street vendors, vegetables which are grown with water which containing the human wastes, and raw undercooked fish and seafoods which caught in waters polluted with the sewage. And when a person consumes the contaminated food or water, the bacteria releases the toxin in the intestine and produces the diarrhea. Next, what is the key factors about the cholera? Cholera is an acute diarrheal disease that can kill within the hours if left untreated. The researchers has estimated that each year there are 1.3 to 4 million cases of the cholera and 21 to 1,43,000 deaths worldwide due to the cholera. Most of those are infected will have no or mild symptoms and can be successfully treated with the oral rehydration solution. Severe cases will need the rapid treatment with the intravenous fluids and antibiotics. If we provide the safe water and sanitation, we can easily prevent the diseases of the cholera. And oral cholera vaccines are also available for preventing of the disease cholera. So this is the transmission. So cholera can be transmitted through the fecal to oral route. So it enters through the oral route and discharges through the fecal matter. And humans are the only reservoirs. The bacteria is transmitted via contaminated water and contaminated food. So other carriers is houseflies and other insects. So what are the symptoms of the cholera? So incubation period is 1 to 3 days, and the symptoms are the mucus and intestinal tissues visible which are in the feces, muscle cramps, abdomen pains, vomiting, loss of skin turgor, and weak pulses. These are the symptoms of the cholera. Next, how to diagnose the cholera? The cholera can be diagnosed by the clinical symptoms and isolation of the Vibrio cholera from the stool and identification via dark field microscope. And we can diagnose it by using the ELISA test, that is antibacterial antibodies and antitoxic antibodies. How to cure the cholera? So by using the antibiotics, immunological preparation, and oral rehydration and intravenous rehydration solutions, we can easily cure the cholera. Vaccinations. So there are the 3 types of the vaccines are available for the cholera. That is Dukoral, manufactured by the SBL Vaccines, Shenpal, manufactured by Santan Biotech in India, and Avicol Plus, which are manufactured by the U Biologics. So these 3 are the vaccines for the cholera. Next, how to prevent the and how to control the cholera. So we can prevent the cholera by immunization and preventing the contamination food and water. That means we use the boiling water and always cover the food with the plates and educate the persons regarding hygiene, personal hygiene and domestic hygiene, and prevent the contamination of the water supplies. This can be achieved by using the improvement of the sewage systems. So this is the stop cholera in the single slide. Next, severe acute respiratory syndrome. Severe acute respiratory syndrome or the SARS is a potentially deadly illness that quickly spread around the worldwide in 2003. It is a viral infection that causes the flu-like the symptoms. What is SARS? SARS is nothing but the severe acute respiratory syndrome. It is a viral respiratory illness. First, this was identified in China 2002. Later, it spread throughout of the world, that is 29 countries. And big, large outcomes are Hong Kong, Taiwan, Vietnam, and Canada. According to the World Health Organization, from November 2002 to July 31st, there were 8,000 cases of SARS. Out of these 8,774 cases are died. On October 1, 2003, the Centers for the Disease Control Prevention reported that there were 164 probable cases and susceptible SARS cases are only 8 cases. Causes of the SARS. SARS is caused by the virus called as SARS-associated coronavirus. It was first identified in April 2003 and is a member of the Coronaviridae family, which is also includes many of the viruses that causes the common cold. Coronavirus have been found in many different animal species, includes birds and mammals. SARS-CoV is thought to have passed from the animals to human through the close contact or eating undercooked meat in a parts of the southern China. So what are the symptoms of the SARS? When the SARS was occurring, its symptoms appeared 2 to 7 days after a person was exposed to the virus, even though they taken up to 10 days. The first symptom was high fever, and other mild respiratory symptoms were similar to those of the flu symptoms. That is body ache, chills, diarrhea in 10 to 20% people only. These symptoms developed over the course of 7 days. After 7 to 10 days, the person might have been noticed a dry cough, shortness of breath, low oxygen levels in the body, known as hypoxia. Most of the people with the SARS developed the pneumonia, while some have had long-term damage to their liver, kidney, and lungs. Then how to transmit the SARS? So the experts believe that coronavirus such as SARS-CoV spread through the close human contact and in droplets form, coughing and sneezing. The body likely absorbs the respiratory droplets through the mucous membrane of the mouth, nose, and eyes. And other ways of transmitting the virus includes hugging and kissing, sharing utensils for the eating and drinking, speaking to the others within the distance of 3 feet, touching someone directly. These are the other ways to transmitting the virus. If the droplets from one person land on any object such as door handle or telephone, some else can pick up the virus if they touches these items. How to diagnose the SARS? During the first outbreak, there is no diagnosis test for the SARS. After that, diagnosis was primarily through symptoms and medicinal history. Now, laboratory tests can be performed on the nostril and throat swabs or the blood samples. And a chest X-ray CT scan may give only the symptoms and signs and symptoms of regarding the pneumonia or the SARS. Treatment. Antiviral medications and steroids also sometimes given to reduce the lung swelling. Supplemental oxygen or ventilator may be prescribed if necessary. In severe cases, blood plasma from someone who has already recovered from the SARS may also be administered. No drugs work against the virus that causes the SARS, but you may get antibiotics to fight off other infections while you recover. So these are the prevention measures for the SARS. There are no cure for the SARS. You can lower your chances of getting in the first place with some simple steps. So what are those steps for the preventing of the SARS? Wash your hands thoroughly with the soap and water, or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth with the dirty hands. Wear the disposal gloves if you have contact with someone's spit, or saliva, or other body fluids. Wipe the surfaces like countertops with a disinfectant and wash the personal items with soap and hot water. If you are around someone with SARS, wear a surgical mask to cover your nose and mouth. So this is the differentiation symptoms between the COVID-19 and SARS symptoms. So what are the common symptoms in the COVID-19 and what are the common symptoms in the SARS? So common symptoms are in COVID-19 is fever, cough, headache, shortness of breath, muscle ache, and pains, headache, and diarrhea. The common symptoms which are seen in the SARS are fever, cough, body ache and pains, headache, and shortness of the breath. Less common symptoms which are present, which are in COVID-19 is runny nose, sore throat, nausea, chills, loss of taste, and loss of the smell. Common symptoms which are seen in the SARS is diarrhea and chills. Next, coming to the Ebola virus. So, Ebola virus is a disease, deadly disease, which occasionally outbreaks that occur mostly on the African continent. Ebola virus disease most commonly affects the people and the non-human primates, which are monkey, chimpanzee, and gorilla. It is caused by an infection with a group of viruses within the genus Ebola virus. So, what are those group of viruses means? Ebola virus, Sudan virus, Thai forest virus, Bundy Bugio virus, Reston virus, and Bombali virus. And what are the signs and symptoms? The symptoms may appear anywhere from 2 to 21 days after contact with the virus with an average of 8 to 10 days. The symptoms are the two types, that is the dry symptoms and the wet symptoms. So dry symptoms is nothing but the fever, pains and fatigue. The wet symptoms is nothing but diarrhea and vomiting. Primary signs and symptoms of Ebola are fever, body pains such as severe headache and muscle and joint pain, weakness, sore throat, loss of appetite, gastrointestinal symptoms include the abdominal pain, diarrhea, and vomiting. And another primary sign and symptom is unexplained hemorrhage, bleeding, or brushing can be observed. The other symptoms includes red eyes, skin rashes, and hiccups. Next, how to transmit this Ebola virus? First, from the bats to non-human primates, from the non-human primates to the humans. Scientists think people are initially infected with Ebola virus through contact with an infected animal such as fruit bat or non-human primate. This called as spillover event. After that, the virus spread from person to person, potentially affecting the large number of the people. The virus spreads through the direct contact with the blood or body fluids, that is urine, saliva, sweat, feces, vomit, breast milk, and amniotic fluid and semen of the person who is sick with or has died from the Ebola virus disease. And this can be spread through the objectives like cloths, bedding, needles, and medical equipment contaminated with body fluids from the person who is sick with has died from the EBD. Infected fruit bats or non-human primates such as apes and monkeys. And it also spread through the semen from a man who recovered from the EBD. And the virus can remain in certain body fluids of a patient who has recovered from the EBD, even if they no longer have symptoms of the severe illness. And there is no evidence of Ebola can be spread through the sex or other contact with the vaginal fluid form a woman who has Ebola. Next, how to prevent the Ebola? When living in or traveling a region where Ebola virus is potentially present, there are number of ways to protect yourself and prevent the spread of the Ebola virus disease. So, what are those measures to prevent the disease? Avoid contact with blood and body fluids such as urine, feces, saliva, sweat, vomit, breast milk, amniotic fluid, semen, and vaginal fluids of the people who are the sick. Next, avoid contact with the semen from the man who has recovered from the EVD. And avoid the contact with the items that may have come in contact with an infected person's blood or body fluids. Avoid the burial practices that involving the touching the body of someone who died from the EVD or suspect EVD. Avoid the contact with the bats for non-human primates like a monkey and a chimpanzee, blood and fluids or raw meat prepared from these or unknown animals. So these are the preventive measures for Ebola. Next, Ebola vaccine. The US Food and Administrative approved the Ebola vaccine Ervebo on December 19, 2019. This is the first FDA approved vaccine for the Ebola. This vaccine is given as a single dose vaccine and has been found to be safe and protective against the Ebola virus. Next, coming to the influenza. Influenza is the viral infection that attacks your respiratory system, that is your nose, throat, and lungs. Influenza, it is nothing but a flu, contagious viral infection that can causes the mild to severe symptoms and the life-threatening complications include the death, even healthy children and adults. Influenza viruses spreads mainly from one individual to another through coughing or sneezing. And less often, they can also spread through the touching of the contaminated surfaces and then touching the mouth, eyes, or the nose. What is the difference between the cold and the flu? The flu and the common cold are both type of the upper respiratory infections. Both are caused by the virus, but the flu is not the same as the common cold. Flu symptoms are usually much worse than the cold. The flu usually comes on suddenly and lasts longer. The symptoms includes fever, cough, shaking, chills, body ache, headache, feeling very tired. The symptoms usually for the first 3 to 4 days. In most of the healthy people, the flu will go away in 5 to 7 days. But it can take 1 to 2 weeks to get completely better. The flu usually occurs during the late fall and winter. The cold symptoms are usually come and over the course of the couple of the days. Symptoms make a runny nose and sneezing is the symptoms of the cold. Thank you all.